In this video, I'll be showing you how I designed this social media post and why I took the decisions that I took. I'm going to start first with why I took the decisions that I took on this design. I looked at LinkedIn and I wanted to do something different from what everybody usually does, all the other social media designers and all the other social media posts that they design kind of like has one feel towards it, right? They always use the blue part and they always use the blue part of, I'm talking specifically about LinkedIn posts. They always use the blue part. So I wanted to go more the interface to make it feel and look like LinkedIn. So what I did was I adopted their gray color and their lines and the way they structure their things. So if you look at the top part of this post, you'll notice that that's where they usually put the three dots to the right and the X in such a way that you can cancel the post. I use this section to specify when the growth podcast is starting according to the social media post. Note that this post is totally fictional, made by me. So I said that I was starting on the 1st of July and I highlighted the 1st of July to increase the contrast so that it's more visible, because one of the things that you just immediately notice on the flyer are the register now button and the date. So that's like kind of where the contrast comes in. And then coming down to the LinkedIn Growth Podcast, the header. I didn't really use the font used on LinkedIn, but I used something that was similar in that same kind of group that gives the same feeling, but not necessarily the same typeface. Going down, I used the notifications that you usually find on LinkedIn and the kind of notifications that you would want to increase by attending a podcast like this one, which will exist if you wanted to. And then going down to the register now button, which is really clear, gives a lot of contrast to the post and makes it kind of very visible. The post is very visible, like it's very clear on what they want you to do. What we want you to do is register now. And I've given a link. That link does not exist too. So yeah. And then going down, I put the amount of reactions that somebody with, it's like as Alex Hormozy calls it, a perceived outcome. So that's like the perceived outcome of you joining my growth podcast, which I have not launched yet. And then going to the bottom part, we have how to network on LinkedIn. That would be like a topic of that very podcast episode that I forgot to put there, because normally podcasts are in episodes. So with each episode, you have a different title, and the title is put right down here. And then you go to the right and you see the author, you see the host of that podcast. I just used the placeholder picture here and the LinkedIn logo with not necessarily the LinkedIn type again. I just went with my own type. And then going to the background, you can see like this kind of curvy background that is there. It's kind of like showing the LinkedIn celebration. When I look at it, it reminds me of celebrating on LinkedIn. So that's kind of the feeling that it brings back. And that is what I wanted to do with LinkedIn. And I wanted to make it feel like LinkedIn. And I successfully achieved that just by looking, because I've used LinkedIn before. So I know how LinkedIn is. That's why you should connect with me on LinkedIn too. I go there at Tifu Kellison. So follow me and keep on sharing content that is valuable. With that said, let's get into the designing of this social media posts. Okay, so to get designing, I'm going to have a blank canvas here, and as you can see, I already have my icons ready, so I won't need to go through all of that again. So the first thing you'd want to do is you'd want to click on the box and duplicate it, and then press shift and control and pull it in to reduce it from all the sides, make it equal. And once you've done that, you'd want to pressing D and then pressing shift and clicking on this color up here to kind of like put a stroke around that. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to reduce the border radius here by clicking this dot and pulling it down. I think this is okay. So we'll work with this. And the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to draw a line using the Bezier tool, which you can activate by pressing B. Press on one point, hold Control to pull to another section of the canvas to create a straight line, because if I don't press Control, you kind of see like the line is kind of going in every direction. So You press Ctrl to make a straight line, and then when you're done, you click on the mouse, and to exit early, you press Enter. So there we go. We already have our first line. This line is this stroke has the same width as this other stroke. The problem or the difference now between them is this one here has a fill. So if I remove the fill by pressing down, by just pressing this X here, you notice that it becomes bigger. And if I put a fill again that is wide, you notice that it becomes smaller. And our goal is to have a fill that is that small. I mean, a stroke that is that small. So I will reduce the stroke to 1, and that is okay for us. So we we should just create the layout first before adding text. So we do this, pull this down here. Okay, so that's done. You notice that this line is not really straight in the middle, so we're going to do this and use the align and distribute property. All right, that's perfect. And now what we want to do is we want to include our image, which we'll have on one side of the page. So I have that in my downloads, and we are going to reduce the size here, and I'm going to duplicate this, and I'm going to reduce it up to a certain point, and then I am going to reduce the width. Say this one is okay. And when you want to clip an image into an object, you want to make sure that the stroke is turned off. It's not a must, but it helps sometimes. So you want to turn that off, and you want to make sure that the object is on top of the image, because if the object is below the image, you will clip nothing. You just have a clip of emptiness. So what you want to do is you want to have this, and then you can right click and click on set clip, and there we have it. And then I can put it on one side, that is here. And then considering that I have my LinkedIn logo here, I'm going to pull to one side, and I'm going to bring it up, and I'm going to put it where it was. It's a little bit too big. Let's scale it down a bit. And we have that. So that's perfect. And then talking about the background that we had. So I'm going to duplicate this one, and I'm going to turn off the stroke. And then what's going to happen now is this. We are going to turn this object into a path so that we can make it have that curvy shape that it had. So we do Control Shift and C, and then press this button, and we're going to delete these two nodes here, so that we can now highlight both of them and pull up to a certain point. All right, that's perfect. Now if you want to make something like a semicircle, when you have a scenario like this, you simply just pull these two headers up to the same point. I know you can't see, so let me change the color there. Okay, so there we have it, and I'll do this here. So as you can see, it kind of looks like a semicircle, and I want to bring this up a little bit, so I'm going to take it up a bit, and then I am going to send it to back, and then reduce the opacity to give it that kind of LinkedIn feel. Okay, so this is okay. So what you want to do is you want to have everything in place now. I can start adding text. So we had text here, and we had LinkedIn. So why that is because I've reduced the opacity. It's not showing down here, but you have to reduce it and increase it back. I don't know why, but that's how it is. So you do that, and then we want to make sure that our alignment with this is okay. So we want to put like a guide there. To pull out the guide, you simply come to this place where you have something like a ruler, and it's in millimeters, and you simply just click on it with your mouse and you pull out of it. There you go, you have it. And to delete it, you simply just click on it once and then press your delete key. So to do this now, we now have to bring our LinkedIn growth podcast right over here, which is okay. And then we want to have our icons over here. I drew these icons manually, so I don't know where to find them. If you know where to find them, it'd be great. You can leave that in the comments. And I just drew mine. I'm going to put this here, and I'm going to like reduce the size a bit. The reason it's doing this is because I have snapping on. If I turn off snapping by pressing Shift and 5, you see that this magnet over here becomes demagnetized. So reduce the size of this without having that. Although reducing the size of this is kind of bad for designers because people can actually see how many notifications you have there. So when doing it, it'd be great to look for a way to increase the size of the icons, but for this, I'm just going to stick with this size we have and go ahead with that. So the next thing we want to do is we want to create a button, which happens to be this big, I hope, and to press, and then press D to select the fill from up here, and we have that. And we're going to duplicate this by pressing Ctrl D and immediately going to type on top register now and add a semicolon, and we're going to immediately make that white and bring down here and reduce the size. Now that that's done, as you can see, we're making sure everything falls on a straight line, and that is one of the principles of design, which is alignment. And then you can go ahead and add any link you want to here. I'm just going to add the growth.co, and I'm going to reduce this right here, and then I'm going to copy this and I'm going to paste it below the image like we had. Perfect. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to copy these reactions on LinkedIn. I also drew them myself, and then I'm going to leave them here, and I'm going to group them because we're going to need to move them and reduce them too. Alright, so this size is okay, and then I'd want to have 10,000. You can have any number here, just alright. So we have that, and you can see we're really bringing it to life here. It's really looking more like LinkedIn. So basically what you want to do is you want to add that title of the podcast that we talked about below here, and we want to turn on snapping so that you can have perfect alignment. And changing this to how to network. Okay, then I'm going to duplicate and I'm going to pull to this other side here. As you can see, the snapping makes sure that we don't go off the alignment that we're focusing on. I'm going to say bye, beautiful Kellison. That's my social media handle across almost all the channels. And then we have the only part that's left now is this top part up here, which I will duplicate this one and pull up to this point. Okay, and then I will have starts. And then I'm going to select this point here, this ST, the est of first, and then click on this toggle superscript here, and we have that. And I want to make all of this white because I'm going to put a background on it to really increase that contrast. It needs to be white. I am going to create this, and I'm going to select the fill by pressing D. I'm doing this. When doing this, you want to make sure that it's like perfectly aligned with the text that you are putting inside of the box. Now, as you can see, this box is a little bit high, so I'm going to reduce that down while pressing Control, and that's done. The next thing we can have is this. We can have the growth podcast at 2023. I'll just say growth podcast. And guys, as you can see, we have replicated our design and we are done. Thank you for watching this YouTube video. If you liked it up to now, please subscribe to my channel and watch out for more YouTube videos like this.